And Friday afternoon, take two. We are back at Marvel Stadium for this one. We've got North Melbourne versus Carlton. This is the third year in a row. There's two sides versus each other on Good Friday. Oh man, shook North Melbourne. You gotta turn up on Good Friday. No point you playing Good Friday football if you keep up this bad form. Anyways, here's the better Good Friday game. At up the stadium in Perth, the jacket-waving derby between West Coast and Essendon. The jacket-waving started when Kevin Sheedy waved his jacket in the coach's box in 1993, when Essendon got up by 2 points against the Eagles. Saturday afternoon, we travel to the MCG. Melbourne versus Fremantle. Could Melbourne put up a better fight this time against the Dockers? Last two games, Fremantle won by 92 points and 50 points. That's been poor form for Melbourne in the last two games against Freo. Saturday twilight, we cross over to Adelaide Oval. Whereas this is going to be the start of reunions galore. First reunion game, we got Isaac Cumming and James Peatling, now at Adelaide, versing their old club, GWS, at Adelaide Oval. Will Peatling and Cumming get a win against their old mates? Saturday night, we got another reunion. Daniel Rioli versus his old club, as Gold Coast will verse Richmond at Marvel Stadium. And this will also be Demma Hardwick. Will Demma Hardwick finally get a win at Marvel? Or will the Tigers finally get a win at Marvel? We'll wait and see what happens. Easter Sunday. We cross live to the Sydney Cricket Ground. Remember the last time the Swans and Port versed each other on Easter week? Ollie Florent had the chance to win it for the Swans, but Alira denied him the chance to win the game for Sydney in the dying seconds. Will the Swans get their revenge on Easter Sunday against the Power? Also on Sunday, well, if he's fit and healthy, this will be Nick Caulfield's first game against the Saints since he left in 2023 to go to the Dogs. And we also got Jack McRae versus his old club for the first time as he left the Dogs to become a Saint. Easter Monday. Well, this is becoming a tradition now. This is the traditional Easter Monday game between the Cats and the Hockball of Hawthorn. Will Geelong win yet another Easter Monday game, or is it the Hawks' turn this time? And we'll stay tuned for round 7. And now
action.
And now we move on to round 7, the Anzac round. Thursday night, we got Melbourne and Richmond at the MCG for the traditional Anzac Eve clash. On Anzac Day, Friday, we are back at the MCG for Collingwood versus Essendon. It'll be 30 years of the traditional game. It started in 1995. Another game on Friday night. We're off the stadium for this one. Fremantle versus the Adelaide Crows. This will be the first time the Crows play on Anzac Week in Perth since 2007, when they lost by 1 point against the Dockers. Saturday afternoon, we are back at Marvel Stadium for this one. The Saints versus the Brisbane Lions. Is it time? Could it be time to secure to beat the Lions? Or it's pretty much not that time and Brisbane win again? Saturday twilight footy, Adelaide Oval is the venue. But this clash, Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. If this still was accepted in the last minute of the trade period, this would have been Cameron Bettle's first game against his old club. But it's not happening, as there was no deal done. Saturday night, we're at Monica Oval in Canberra for this one. Giants versus Western Bulldogs. Wilbert, this is the Giants' first game in Canberra for the season. And now we move on to the Sunday clashes. People First Stadium is the place in the Gold Coast, and the Sydney Swans are the team travelling there to verse the Gold Coast Suns. And we're at the NCG on the second to last game of the round. We've got Carlton and Geelong. This could be becoming a new tradition, playing after Anzac Day, thanks to the success of last year's game when Geelong won by 13 points. And we got the only reunion of the round. Tom Barrass versus his old club, as Hawthorn will versus West Coast at Marvel Stadium. And we're about to start round 8 next. Here we are. We're in round 8 now. Thursday night, we're at Marvel Stadium. We got Essendon versus North Melbourne. Well, this is the first time in a while the Kangaroos are appearing on prime time. Other than be the first game that haven't appeared on a Saturday or a night time in a while. Friday night, Marvel Stadium again. Saints versus Freo. I think this could be a potential reunion for Liam Henry, as he might have missed out in the last game against his old club Freo. But he actually played in that one. Saturday, we're at Mars Stadium in Ballarat for this one. Got the Bulldogs versus Port Adelaide. As I forgot to mention on an earlier episode, I forgot to mention in round 3 to Matthew Kennedy versus his old club Carlton for the first time. And we cross over to Adelaide Oval on Saturday twilight. We got the Crows versus Carlton. This is only the fourth time since 2010 that Carlton and the Crows will verse each other in Adelaide. Poor record for the Blues. They can't seem to verse Adelaide in Adelaide a lot. It's always in Melbourne. Saturday night, we cross over to Optus Stadium in Perth for West Coast versus Melbourne. Melbourne, they were pretty poor last season in Perth. Who knows this game could potentially be a breakout game for the Eagles. Saturday night at the NCG. We got Geelong versus the team Dre Bennett nearly went to a few years ago, Collingwood, at the MCG. Should be a good game, this one. Sunday footy. Battle of the Bridge, Giants and the Swans. SCG. Swans have won the last 4 Battle of the Bridge matches. Is it time a GWS win a Battle of the Bridge game for once? Later on that day at the MCG, happy 100th birthday Hawthorn. They're versing Richmond at the MCG. And for the last game of the round, we are at the Gabba. Brisbane Lions versus Gold Coast Suns. And stay tuned for round 9. And we move on to round 9 now. Thursday night, we got Fremantle versus Collingwood at Optus Stadium. Friday night, Saints versus Carlton at the MCG. This is one of the Saints' rare home games this season at the MCG. And the game on Saturday, we got the Hawkball versus Melbourne. Will the Hawthorn have not beaten Melbourne in 7 years? Will Hawthorn end the streak? Or will Melbourne keep their run going? Saturday twilight, Marvel Stadium is the place. Essendon versus Sydney. The Bombers, they've not been really good in the last few years against the Swans. Now we go to Saturday night. First game of the season in the Northern Territory. Gold Coast and the Western Bulldogs. The other Saturday night game, it's the big one at Adelaide Oval. And this is also known as Bevel Derby 8. Port Adelaide versus Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. Sunday footy. Well, we've got a double reunion at the MCG. Liam Baker versus his old club, West Coast. And who else is versing? Now, Richmond versus West Coast at the MCG. This will be Liam Baker's first game against the Tigers. And Jack Graham's first game against the Tigers. Should be a good matchup. Will the former Eagles get it done, or will their old team get up? And Saturday, next game on Sunday, we're at GMHBA Stadium for the Cats versus GWS. The Big Sound are once again travelling to Canadian Park. Can they win there again? They seem to be the only team that can beat Geelong at the Cattery. Adelaide, you can learn a thing or two from GWS in how to beat the Cats at the Cattery.
Oh, it's a big sound.
And the last game of the round, if I can fix up this North Melbourne scarf, we are at formerly known as Bloodstone Arena, now known as Ninja Stadium. North Melbourne versus the Brisbane Lions in what will be the Roos' second to last ever home game in Tassie. Round 10 will be coming your way shortly. And now we move on to round 10. Thursday night we're at TIO Stadium again. It's Gold Coast versus Hawthorn. Friday night, SCG. Sydney versus Carlton. Saturday footy, we are at Marvels. We're at MCG between Collingwood and Adelaide. Saturday twilight. In fact, there's two Saturday twilight games. One's at Marvels, one will be at NG Stadium for Giants versus Fremantle. And another one at Marvel Stadium between the Western Bulldogs and Essendon. Saturday night at Adelaide Oval, we got Port Adelaide versus Geelong. Sunday, we head to the MCG between Richmond and North Melbourne. Second to last game of the round, we're at the Gabba. Brisbane versus Melbourne. Now on to the last game of the round, we go to Optus Stadium between West Coast and St Kilda, and stay tuned for round 11.
Bitch!
Now we move on to round 11. The Thursday night we got ourselves a reunion. Bailey Smith versus his old club, as Geelong and the Western Bulldogs versus each other at GMHBA. On Friday night, this is the first ever Friday night dream time at the G game. After the success of last year's standalone games, we've got Essendon and Richmond. Saturday, we're at Marvel Stadium for the Blues versus GWS. Nick Haynes versus his old club. Next up, we're at the MCG. We got Hawthorn versus Brisbane. That result against Hawthorn last year kickstarted Brisbane's dominant run. and Hawthorns dominant runners themselves.
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Beacon Frenzy is here with 20% off.
Now Saturday night footy. North Melbourne versus Collingwood at Marvel Stadium. Saturday night footy. Optus Stadium is the place. Port Adelaide, it's Fremantle versus Port Adelaide. Sunday footy. We are here at Adelaide Oval for this one. West Coast, it's Adelaide versus West Coast. On Sunday afternoon, we're at the MCG for this one. Melbourne and Sydney. And now the last game in a round, it's at Marvel Stadium. Could this potentially be the audition to see Ben King go to the Saints to join his brother as Gold Coast versus St Kilda at Marvel Stadium? And that will just about wrap up round 11, as we'll see you tomorrow for round 12.